Going to card shows could be very overwhelming and intimidating for people that haven't really been to one or only been to a few. Well, today I'm going to share some of my tricks and tips, how I operate, the mindset of Dave that he goes into a trading card show. Okay. For those that don't know me, I'm Dave from DKTCG Cave. I've been a collector for 10 years, a seller for 5, and I actually have around 4 years experience of vending, okay? One of my best performing TikTok videos is of just me vending and talking about an ancient Mew, the error card. So I would love to talk about this topic, how to prepare yourself, some tricks and tips, how I negotiate, stuff like that. Number one, I would always say bring some stuff with you. Don't ever go to a show empty-handed. There's tons of opportunities for vendors to end up making deals with you. Bring stuff you really don't want. Even if it's on the lower end side, you just never know. Some vendors might be looking for more lower end stuff. So make sure you bring that in, because then you could trade towards whatever you want. You know, you could bring down the price so you don't have to spend as much money. And I love doing that. It's actually like trading up. Hey, I'll give you all of these little cards for this bigger card. And you just keep doing that until you get some really nice cards. The trade up challenge, right? Everyone's seen the trade up challenge. I've participated in it, but also be aware not every vendor will actually go for this, okay, and participate with this. For the most part, I bring slabs and cards that are on our website. Anything you see up on our website at dktcgcave.com, that's pretty much going to be our inventory going to shows. So that's like our little store. So just be aware that certain vendors might not be able to participate with whatever you got going on. You know, the coin flips, mystery boxes, stuff like that. I know it's all fun, but you know, every vendor is different. Okay. I also want to talk about the different styles of mindsets when people go into a card show. Okay. Some people are there to complete their master sets. Some people are there to look for playable cards for cheap. You know, finding that grail, looking for your card. I would say go to a card show very open-minded. Don't go in there looking for a specific, like, oh, if I see this card, I'm getting it. Because for all you know, the vendor that's working, they might be the only people that have that card, and they're not really willing to work with you. And I don't want you to be disappointed, okay? Like anytime I go to a card show, there's not a single card in my mind where I'm like, I'm looking for this card specifically. I go in there and I search for opportunities. Okay. I'm more experienced when it comes down to knowing what I'm looking for through dollar bins. When I look through dollar bins, I look at error cards for vintage. Like I find no rarity stars for like in dollar bins. So it just depends on what your main focus is looking at a card show. I'll give you a tactic that I like to use when it comes down to negotiating. I think negotiating is one of the most fun things to experience at a card show. It builds confidence. Everybody's willing to negotiate at one point. And if they're not, that's okay. You could shoot your shot and then move on. But this is how I negotiate. Having tools, comping tools are really important. I know a lot of people like to use TCG Player, right? And they're like, this is what it's priced at a TCG Player. Look, this is the way I do it. I go on eBay, and also I use 130 point. And I also have Pokedata that pulls from different sources. Like I have the paid version, so it shows you everything from all the comps. A comp is pretty much a sale that went through. It's a verified sale. That's a hard comp. Hey, that is the price people paid for that specific card. That's what a comp is. I like to go on eBay because it is the largest platform. It's where the most reliable source of value is. You know what I mean? There's no other platform that is bigger than eBay. That's why it's so hard to sell on there sometimes, because there's just so much competition. But that shows you where majority of the people are buying and what they're willing to pay. Okay. So I would grab the last 3 comps and I would just say, hey, on average, this is what it's selling for. Because a lot of vendors, they like to say, oh yeah, they like to point to the big ones, the big sales. Like, okay, here it's sold for 200, 205. But then you, because you do have your tools, you could show them like, hey, look, but what about this 160, 175? Like there is stuff that went for lower. So now you just, have a middle ground, right? You just have a leg to stand on. So I would say understanding the value and being able to negotiate that way. Because even if you like the card and you can get it for maybe $5 cheaper or $10 cheaper, you don't have to pull their leg. But what I'm saying is, if somebody has a value sticker at $150 or even $50, let's say something more reasonable, $50, and you really like the card and you know it's worth around 55, you're like, would you take 45? Boom, you got yourself a deal. For the most part, $5 off, most vendors would say, yeah, I got you, okay? So don't be afraid to negotiate. It's fun. Oh, and speaking of negotiating, if a vendor does this, please just walk away, okay? I've seen this before and it makes zero sense to me, and there's no way you could explain it for it to make sense. If a vendor or anyone tries to negotiate on a raw card, the card is just a raw card, and they start negotiating some PSA or graded card prices, just walk away, okay? You and the person behind that table don't know what that grade is. It's not graded. So for y'all to be talking about graded prices because you're speculating that this card will be graded a certain way. Like, I was walking by a table and they were trying to negotiate a guy selling to a vendor. And I can't even believe this, but a guy was selling to a vendor and both of them were talking about PSA 7 prices. Like, oh, this kind of looks like a 7. So let's see what 7s look like. And as soon as I heard it, I didn't even want anything at the table. I'm just sitting there like listening to how they negotiate, listening to the tactics that some of these vendors do. And you can just tell a lot of them are newer, so there's just no hate against them or anything like that. But just don't negotiate, because there could be a really deep dimple on the back of the card that you don't see. And then when you send it to PSA, it could get like a 5. Don't ever negotiate graded prices on a raw card. It's 0 cents. Stick to the condition. If it's light play, look at light play prices and comps and go from there. Oh, another source I like to use, this is for a lot of people that use sports cards. It's called 130 Point. If you don't have like Pokédata or one of these paid apps that pool all the information that you need, yeah, 130 Point is great. You just type it in there and it pulls from different platforms that people sell on, and it shows you what the sales are as well. So if you go to base set Charizard on 130 Point and you press search, it'll show up in green all the listings, and you just got to filter to make sure you're looking at the right one, because there's like base set 2, legendary, make sure the condition is right. It takes a while, okay? That's my point, is if you're going to negotiate, put the time behind it. Look behind the card before you just start making deals and offers. Each person is going specifically in a different stage of their collecting journey. Everybody has different goals when they go to a card show. Another thing that I want to say, even for my vendors and for my people out there that are just going to exchange money, make sure you bring a money marker, okay? I know this is simple and no one ever really does this. 3 years ago, I was at a card show, and in front of our table, I shit you not, was a $100 bill on the floor, and my buddy Matt was like, he got it and opened it up, and it looked exactly like a $100 bill, but then it had this really small wording that said, not real money or not for real use. Like, it was play money. And I'm like, oh shit, like, did a vendor get got? Did somebody? So ever since that day, I always bring money markers. And you never know if the vendor did get caught with fake money. So if the vendor gives you money back, right, gives you a 20, just take that money marker out of your little satchel, purse, pocket, whatever, and just, okay, we're good. Oh, actually, like, this is not a real 20. So just a little heads up for anyone going to card market shows. Like, you're dealing with real life money. People are scammy, people are scummy, and the vendor could have fake money without even knowing it. So I'm not trying to put that on them or anything like that, but I think that's a good tip for any vendor and anybody that's just going to a card show. Anytime you have a opportunity to go to a card show, just go, enjoy it, have fun, and keep on keeping on.